Hey guys, we are back again. I probably don't need to keep saying that. You're probably still watching. But I'm Jess. I'm going to keep introducing myself just
And
in
I'm
case.
still Scott.
You're still
We can
Scott?
introduce yourselves each and every time.
You're
It'll
still.
be great.
Do you want to say? Do you want to
I'm
join
Ralph.
in?
It's
You're
Ralph.
still Ralph.
Yeah.
We're all still who we were at other points.
But Ralph is new.
This is a killer intro. Good lord. We're here to talk about Forza Horizon 3, which is pretty exciting. Europe. Cars everywhere. Gorgeous looking cars.
Not only cars, but cars in Australia.
Yes, I'm very excited about the Australia part. I'm going to get to that. But I always go crazy for these trailers because, good lord, it is a beautiful looking game.
Isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
that's partly due, or largely due, I guess, to the setting, right? That's what attracted us to Australia.
Yeah.
Incredibly beautiful country.
Go flatter.
Incredibly big country.
Yeah.
Incredibly diverse. That's probably the big one. So our world is like twice as big as the last game, Horizon 2.
Yeah.
Horizon 2 wasn't small by any stretch. But we didn't make it bigger just to make it bigger. We made it bigger to fit in all the diversity that country has. And man, has it paid off.
Seems like there's a much bigger focus on off-roading, which it definitely
Right.
fits with the setting and like driving through the outback or driving through the jungle. And you've added a lot of new vehicle types, right, to accommodate this new style of racing?
Absolutely, yeah. And if you go to the show floor demo we have, there's a couple of them on show today. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of rugged terrain, right? The outback doesn't have many asphalt roads, but great for off-roading. And we've introduced racing buggies. You can play one of them on the show floor. We've got trophy trucks, like really extreme, very capable off-roaders, which just eat up that terrain.
That's fantastic. And I have been asked to bring up. Obviously, you're working with Australia, but I've heard you're working with kind of a Frankenstein map of Australia, where things are in different places than they are in the world.
Right. Yeah. So I've heard this feedback. It's been wonderful
I love it.
to get a free
I
geography
do.
lesson over the last couple of days. We did actually research that, so this isn't news to us, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it goes to how we make Horizon games, right? So this isn't the first, right? The first game was in Colorado. The second game was in south of France and Italy, and this one's in Australia. And we've taken exactly the same approach in all three.
Yeah.
Which is to say, we go there and we research extensively, right? So if you look at the architecture, the foliage, the wildlife, you will recognise that as very authentically Australian. But then what we have to do is piece that together into an open world
And make it a game.
which we're right, yeah, absolutely. Because we're as much as we'd love to be, we're not the tourist board.
Of course.
What we need to make games. We need to make games that our players can get into and that work for progression and fun and great driving experiences. So if things aren't exactly in the place they are in real life, I'm happy to hear about them, but we know.
I feel like people probably aren't coming to Forza Horizon to see exactly where all the states in Australia are laid out, so you're probably okay.
I feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, what Australia does do for us, and I guess the reason we've crammed so much into this world is that Australia has so much to offer.
Right.
And if it's about cramming it in places where maybe it's not absolutely geographically accurate or leaving them out, I know which option I'm always going to go for, right?
I have spoken to my friends about the fact that I was doing this interview today, and they just needed me to pass on to you. Thank you so much for including and remembering that Australia is a place, because we are in no games.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's great.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily why we did it, but I love the fact it's off the beaten track, and I love the fact that it's not like a world that everyone is familiar with from video games, right? We looked at California, but I feel like I've spent half my life in California
who needs it?
in video games. Whereas Horizon games are kind of like a dream vacation. And I think Australia's a great place to go on one.
Yeah, can we talk about how the Horizon games have their own kind of niche apart from the more standard Forza titles? What that means to you?
So, I mean, we've been doing this for 3 versions now, which is great. So I think we have a really strong identity, and I think people are getting that. They understand what they'll get from a Horizon game, how it's different from a Motorsport game, and I think they are very complementary. A lot of our players play both and get great things from both, but certainly we think of ourselves as all about fun, right? It's about laid-back fun with your friends. It's not serious. We don't take ourselves too seriously. You can see that from the show floor demo, right? You're racing against a Jeep suspended from a helicopter. It doesn't make an enormous amount of sense, but it is crazy fun, and that's why we do it. The motorsport side is great as well. It is about serious competition. It is about mastering cars and tracks and racing lines and apexes, and you can still get that from the Horizon games, but it's much more easygoing, I think, and I love that about this part of the franchise.
I think you touched on something very important, which is that Horizon 3 is a particularly social game, and that you now have, I believe, 4-player co-op throughout the entire experience, which is a series first from what I remember.
It absolutely is, yes, well remembered. Yeah, we're excited about it. We showed it on stage at the Xbox briefing on Monday. It's, as I said to you the other day, it's something that we've wanted to do in Horizon since the first game, because it feels like it's the perfect fit. You want to just explore the world with your friends and go to a festival with your friends, right? We haven't done it before because we didn't feel we could do it right, and that's really important to us. We've done it right this time, and by doing it right, I mean offering everything that's in the solo game and making sure that you can play it with your friends, right? It's not a ring-fenced subset of the game like you sometimes see, and that's fine for certain games, but for us, we want to make sure that you can drop in and you can drop out, and the game just handles it.
You've kind of got a lot of like very different vehicles this time around. I know you have an insanely huge roster of cars. So many. That's the most, right?
It's 350, right?
There you go. I kind of don't need to be here.
Okay.
I'm writing about this game earlier today, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. I should let you do this, though. I'm sorry.
100% right. It's more than 350, which is how many more than Horizon 2?
About 150 more?
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Good Lord, this man.
Yeah,
a professional, Jess.
Oh, all right.
Absolutely, yeah. There's great retention there. Yeah, so 150 more than Horizon 2.
Fantastic.
We've really stretched the car list, like you say, it's the biggest in the series to date. And that's allowed us to do a ton of things, right? I mean, new hot cars like the Lamborghini Centenario, which is cool. It's on our cover, it's really important to us. But it's not just about like incredibly hot supercars, although there's a ton of them in the game. It's about the off-roaders we were talking about earlier. It's also about Australian domestic cars as well. Australia has a remarkable domestic car culture, and Australians are always asking me, when are we going to see more Holdens? When are we going to see some Utes in the game? We've got a ton of Utes. 74 Sandman, the oldest Holden Ute is in the game. This year, both Ford and Holden will make their final ever production Utes in Australia, and we've got both of them in the game as well.
Fantastic.
So there's great Australian flavour to our car list, and not just our world.
I appreciate you just constantly appealing to my Australian.
I feel like I'm trying to appease you.
It's great. I mean, it's working, so that's good.
Great.
I'd love to know, like, what's your favorite thing that you might be doing with Forza Horizon 3, whether it's something new or something that you feel like the series has always nailed. Like, what is it that makes Horizon 3 so successful in its niche among all the other racing games, driving games?
So one thing that we are really excited about, it's something we thought about right at the start of the game, and it's a sort of almost a philosophy that has informed everything we've done in the game, which is we want to put the player in charge. Like, we're great as developers at prescribing what you're going to do in the game. Hey, here's the content, work through it, and we've done that in this game. If you just want to play the stuff that we've made, you totally can, and you can spend 100 hours easy getting through it. But what we've done is put you in charge, and we've given you a feature called Horizon Blueprint, which will allow you to do it, which means you can create your own gameplay and you can share it with your friends, which is awesome because Forza players are incredibly creative. We know that because they paint cars and they tune cars and they take amazing photographs, and now they can create their own gameplay, whether that's events or championships or even bucket list challenges, which we demonstrated the other day. So I think that's the thing I'm most excited about, because it turns a 100-hour game into a virtually endless game, and who doesn't like virtually endless?
I'd
also like to point out that you've also added stunt jumps, which I'm pretty excited about.
Right? But who doesn't like big jumps? Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody doesn't like big jumps.
Nobody doesn't. And so we saw in Horizon 2 where it wasn't a thing that we put in the game, but people just found massive ramps and jumps, and they were always gifting them and sticking them online, and it was hilarious, and I hope they do that again. But we thought, okay, let's learn from these guys and build these into the world and make them competitive.
So it's really got a lot of social elements, Horizon 3, doesn't it?
I would say it's the most social racing game ever, since you asked.
Most social. And it's interesting that you say that, because our chat is agreeing.
Great.
They have said that they feel like this is what perhaps other multiplayer driving games they wish had been.
Like I said at the top, I think Horizon in its essence is about having fun with your friends. And the thing that I think is most exciting and maybe important about this game is the fact that now you can have fun with your friends across platform. Right, so you can play on Xbox One, you can also play on Windows 10, and those two communities can play together.
Yeah.
So almost the technology, the platform almost fades away. It's not important anymore.
Yeah.
It's just about the game and your friends and having fun in it together.
But I don't think you guys are, I mean, speaking of technology, though, this is actually launching on Windows 10 as well, though. And there's like cross play, I think, even. There's not just cross saves, but like cross play between platforms.
Absolutely, yeah. So day and date, September 27th, it's coming to Xbox One and Windows 10. And yeah, you'll be able to seamlessly, because all our online is seamless, it's just a button press away. You can seamlessly play with players on either platform, right? And we kind of don't differentiate because it's about fun, it's about cooperation, and I think it's great that this already huge Xbox One Forza community will now welcome in the Windows 10 PC players into the family.
Has it been difficult at all designing the game to bring it to PC?
There's been a lot of considerations. I'll say that. Difficult is probably not the word in this respect. But we have been thinking about making a game for PC as well as Xbox One right from the start. That's kind of a paradigm shift for us in Forza. It's the first time we've done it. So we've been thinking about it for a long time, and you have to start thinking about, hey, okay, mouse and keyboard support.
Exactly.
How does that work? How does that change it up? How does different configurations on PC affect everything? But because we were thinking about it right from the start, we were able to plan and design and create it that way. So actually, it kind of just works.
Yeah.
You mentioned mouse and keyboard, made me think, are you going to include or offer support for driving peripherals, like steering wheels and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you saw it on stage on Monday. One of the guys who was playing on Win 10 was using a wheel and pedal setup. Will absolutely support those peripherals. We haven't announced the list of supported peripherals just yet. That's coming later in the summer once we've absolutely locked it down. But yeah, if you're serious about racing and driving games on PC and you own that wheel or you want to get one, then it will be supported in Horizon 3.
Do you think that's a better way to play? Like, would you recommend people who want to play on PC get like a gamepad or a wheel or something, or do you think it works just as well with mouse and keyboard?
I think it's horses for courses. It's what you're it's how you want to play the game. I know there's a lot of guys, and Andy who was in the BCD with me is one of them. He swears by driving with the wheel. Personally, I'm a pad guy. It works for me, and obviously on Windows 10 you can use your Xbox pad there, and it's great as well. You can even use keyboard to steer. So we're supporting a whole range of ways to play. It's up to you what you think is best.
Can I play with a Guitar Hero controller if I was like sitting there with, people always try to do that.
DDR pad?
There you go.
Probably going to be hard.
I don't know. If you try it.
Someone will try.
We'll figure it out, yeah.
I guarantee.
There'll be a YouTube video somewhere at some point.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. So how many different locations are we getting around Australia?
So we think in ecotypes, which is maybe not a word people use ordinarily, but
no, go ahead. I love it.
For us, it's kind of like every environment style. So everybody knows about the outback. I mentioned that before. We have a big outback area, with towns, and there's an airstrip in there as well. So there's lots of fun things for you to do while you're there. And then there's canyons and gorges. There's we researched the Yarra Valley, wine country, so rolling hills and vineyards again for Forza Horizon 2 fans. And then we have rainforest, we have the Gold Coast, and we also have Surfers Paradise, which is a cool high-rise city, which we haven't really had in the series before. We had the city of Nice in 2, but very different in architecture and style than Surfers Paradise, so it's a very different feeling.
Yeah.
One of the craziest things that I remember you talking about the other day was you guys apparently just pointed, I think it was like a 12K camera at the sky for hours every day and captured like actual Australian sunsets and included all of that in the game proper. Is that?
Absolutely. So there's kind of two parts to this, and it's kind of a great story. The first part is the technology angle. It's never been done before, and we've got incredibly smart guys back at Playground who have worked out a way to do it. But the other part was probably even more difficult. It was being in Australia, like being in the outback for a lot of the time, with this camera pointed up at the sky. And this is a camera we built. People told us you couldn't build this kind of rig, but we did, and we took it out there. But you had to stay with it every hour of the day, and it's rolling 24 hours to capture the full sky going over, like absolutely all the intricacy and variety that you get in an Australian sky. And obviously everything in the outback wants to kill you. Right,
so
so
especially Jess.
That was that was a particularly arduous part of it, but I'm so glad we did it because the results, you've seen them in the game, they speak for themselves.
That's fantastic. I mean, it looks gorgeous. Like, I'm pretty excited about it. I think what you've done with making a driving game that just emphasizes the joy of driving cars is a really cool thing. I know Scott's excited about it. Thank you so much for coming by. And stunt jumps. Thank you so much for coming by to talk to us about it. Thank you. I'll say on behalf of all the Australians, thank you. And yes, I am heading off, but Lucy will be back with you in just a moment to show you some other cool stuff.